Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Create Your Life. My name is Simone, and today is going to be a little bit of a vulnerable share, but you know what? I think sometimes you need to share. So I want to take the time today to talk to you guys about honoring yourself, because in the culture that I live in, and maybe some of you guys can relate, it's very much you just keep going, you keep doing, you keep getting the things done, you keep trying to get those goals, you keep getting up and doing, you just do, you just don't stop. Like there's no stopping, it's just doing. And sometimes you really do need to take the time to actually honor yourself. And generally speaking, I'm very good at this because my life is not so full that I don't have the space for myself. I've always made sure that I have the space for myself. But sometimes something happens where you need extra space for yourself, extra space for you to be able to honor what you're going through and where you're at. And the last 2 weeks for me have been that. And you guys are probably going to see this in a couple of weeks. So actually, it's probably about a month ago, but that's okay. So while I've been putting this podcast together and creating this show for you guys, which I totally love, I've had this really contrasty time of the opposite end of the scale. And that's what I want to share with you guys today about honoring yourself, because I've been working my little butt off in a good way to get this podcast done. And it's been so exciting and so nurturing for my soul and has made me so happy. And I stay up late working, and in my head, I'm like, go to bed. But I'm like, but I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. Like I'm having so much fun putting this together for you guys and creating this and brainstorming different topics and recording and editing and filming and making social media content. Like I'm literally having the best time. And it's been so, so amazing and so good for me and so wonderful. But I've also had these deadlines and I've got other things that I need to get done and other commitments. I'm currently doing a course at the moment that's every single weekend. And so that's a lot. But on the other end of the scale, I've also had something happen in my personal life, which has really, really, really affected me so greatly and has literally felt like a death of a relationship in my life. And it has been so traumatic and so heartbreaking for me that it's been really hard. You know, the 2 weeks before the podcast was due to launch, I literally was crying as though someone had died, because a very special and important relationship in my life has now shifted. And the way that it shifted and the speed that it shifted meant that I was literally feeling that like a death. And so that next 2 weeks, I was like, I have to still get everything done. I'm still working on the podcast. But at the same time, there would be these moments when I would remember what would happen and I would just burst into tears. And I was trying to keep living my life. Like I was like, you know what? It's been 2 days. I've cried the first day. I cried a lot the first day. You know, I didn't sleep. I cried. I grieved, you know, all the things. The second day, I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not crying anymore. Like I need to move on. And the third day, I was crying within half an hour because I had so much emotion that just needed to come out. And because I was so close to what had happened only a couple of days, I was allowing that emotion to come out. I was allowing those feelings to flow. And then as we got closer to the podcast going live, I was trying to hold those feelings back and just focus on the podcast. Like I was like, I don't have time to cry right now. I've got to get the podcast and the YouTube channel done. I've got to get everything live. I've got to get everything moving. I've got to get marketing done. I don't have time to cry right now. In fact, I don't even have time to think about this situation and process anything. So obviously, I knew that there would come a date when I would need to sit down and really process it. And I knew that there was an actual end date with this relationship. And I had tried to talk myself into being okay until that date and then falling into a heap. And I did pretty good. Like I still functioned as a human and I still let a lot out as I was going along. And that was all fine. But I needed to have that little bit more space to really honor that for myself than I had allowed, because I still had allowed my normal amount of space that I have for myself to honor myself, to really connect, to really feel whatever I'm feeling, to really self-love and self-nurture. I really have a lot of time and space for that for myself. But because the contrast of what was going on in my life was so big, it was almost like black and white. The contrast was so huge. I needed extra time and I needed extra space to really nurture myself and nurture those feelings and nurture those emotions and really be there for myself. And I didn't really allow that. And I think that partly because all of this situation, it finished on the weekend. And as mentioned, I'm doing a course on the weekends, which means I'm literally busy for 8 to 9 hours on the weekend. And then I got home and I'm like, I've still got things to do, but I need a process. And next day, go back to the course and then come home and I'm still got things to do, but I need to process. And what that resulted in was the Monday, I couldn't handle anything. Like I just couldn't handle anything. I tried to work for a couple of hours and I've gotten, maybe half an hour's stuff done. Productivity was right down. And then I went to the beach. I thought I'll go give myself a timeout. I'll go meditate. I'll go for a swim in the ocean. That'll clear everything. And I did that and it helped enough to get me through for a couple of hours. But I needed more than that. And so I'm really lucky. I have a really good team around me that can support me when stuff is going out of whack. And I had already organized to go and see my acupuncturist for some acupuncture, which is a beautiful Chinese medicine modality that really helps to balance energy, balance the meridians, restore harmony back to the body in all the ways, like in terms of physically, if you've got illnesses or sicknesses or ill something, if your hormones are out, if you've got low energy, if you're sleeping badly, Chinese medicine is great. I don't want to digress too much, but I had made this appointment to go and see my Chinese medicine person and get some acupuncture. And that hour was amazing. It just having the extra help that my body needed to really relax and calm my nervous system down after what had happened and how I was, because yesterday all I could feel was this inflammation and this overwhelm and this stress and just this ability to not handle anything because I hadn't really given myself the space I needed over the weekend because I physically just didn't have the time, obviously with the course. And so yesterday everything was just a little bit out of whack. And by going and spending time and having that hour with my acupuncturist and really allowing my body to reset itself and to calm down, I really needed that. And I came home after the appointment and everything felt manageable again. Everything felt easy. Everything felt so in alignment and so in flow. And, I started seeing all the numbers again, 1111, all the little things that come up when you're in alignment and you're back to you. And last night, I still did a little bit of work last night because I really love what I'm doing, but at the same time, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't doing it because I had to. I just really wanted to do it. But I also had a beautiful dinner that I didn't look at my phone or do any work while I was eating. I literally sat on the couch and gave my cat a cuddle, I still did all these beautiful nurturing practices to really honor myself last night. And I think that we have to remember that we're not robots. We are human soul. Well, we're humans with souls here to have an experience. And it's great to push along and live your life and be productive. And that is so wonderful. But sometimes you really need to remember to really honor yourself. And me, as mentioned, I'm lucky. I have a daily allowance. Like I always make sure that's a high priority to me to honor myself and where I'm at, my feelings, and really deal with things and make space to be able to deal with things and nurture myself, nurture my mind, my body, my soul. I really make the space for that. But I think that when you're actually really going through something, whether it's the end of a relationship, an illness, some sort of stressful event, moving house, moving state, anything like that, you really need to remember that you're going to need a little bit more space and to actually honor that for yourself. Because if you don't honor it for yourself, no one is going to honor it for you. You have to honor that space for yourself. And the benefits of doing that, like today I've gotten up and I'm so much more productive than I was yesterday. I've gotten so much done. I feel so much lighter. I feel happier. I feel in alignment. I feel like I'm just able to flow through the day in such a beautiful, connected way that just feels really honoring to myself and my process and my life. But if I hadn't have stopped yesterday and given myself that space and also given myself the extra support I needed at the time, I don't think that I would necessarily be where I am today. So taking that time is really important, and knowing what you can do to honor yourself. So as I mentioned, I went and saw an acupuncturist. For you to honor yourself, it might be going and getting a massage. It might be going to the day spa. It might be going for a walk. It might be having a bath, might be how you honor yourself and give yourself that support. It might be catching up with your best friend and having a 20-second hug. That might be what you need in those moments to help you just really honor yourself. So the process and what you do is going to be different to what I do, and what you might do in every moment that you need to honor yourself, it might be different again. But really taking the time to understand that you don't have to keep pushing when you can't. Sometimes there's things that you need to just let go and just trust and surrender and just be the mess for 2 hours or however long it takes, because as soon as you let that emotion out, as soon as you honor yourself, you recover and you can go back to being you again. Sometimes it's just about really connecting with the emotions and feeling the emotions and supporting those emotions and then letting it go. And if that involves crying over a movie for 2 hours or hugging your friend or going and see an acupuncturist, do what you need to do, but don't put it off. Don't avoid dealing with the things that you need to deal with in your soul and your heart. Make sure that you make the time to really honor yourself and what you're going through in your life when you're going through it. For me, I try and deal with everything the day that I'm going through it. I'm not someone who's going to be dealing with something 5 years later. And I think that it's okay when stuff comes up. Like, as I said, I just physically didn't have the time to give myself on the weekend because I had so many other things on. But on Monday, it caught up with me and I had to just honor myself. And if you can get into the habit of just allowing yourself that space when you need to, or if you know you're going to need to, you can block that in. You can actually plan. Not necessarily be like, I'm going to cry at 10 a.m. Not necessarily plan it like that, but plan your life around giving yourself that little bit more space to self-nurture. If you know there's going to be a few days where things might be a little bit more emotionally challenging, allow yourself a little bit more space. Don't necessarily commit to doing all the things in those few days. Give yourself that space to be able to check in with yourself and see what you need in the moment. Because if you can learn to really honor that and honor yourself, your whole life is going to change, because you're learning to really connect with yourself and to release and to feel and to release and to move forward and to expand and to grow and to just change and evolve. By literally experiencing what we're here to experience as humans, the emotions, the good times, the bad times, the contrast. I call it contrast. I don't like good times or bad times. I think everything is just contrast. Good times or bad times is just perception. But if you can allow yourself to really be present in all of the contrast, you're going to have such a richer experience of life. And it's going to be so much more beautiful for you. You're going to evolve and grow, and it's going to be easier. It's so much harder when you're holding on to something that you haven't let go of. Like for me, trying to get through yesterday and not allow myself that space was so hard. Like I felt like I was pushing up a hill. By allowing that space, everything went back into ease and flow again. So by really taking that time to honor yourself, your whole world is going to shift and it's going to stay in alignment and it's going to be beautiful. So today, I really want you guys to remember that you can take the time to honor yourself. You can take the hour that you need or the 2 hours that you need. Find a way to give yourself what you need if you're going through something. And even if you're not, make it a daily practice to check in with yourself and make sure that you're honoring yourself, even just in normal life, in the small ways. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode.